What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made these. Beautiful, delicious, smoky, crispy, tender, cheesy, amazing barbecue birria taquitos. Coming up. This is some meat. Pat them dry. And what I got here is several cuts of some really tough pieces of meat, including some ossobuco, some beautiful shanks, got that bone in there, full of bone marrow. Got some oxtails over here, looking very nice. And we've got some of the best looking beef cheeks I've ever seen. I mean, look at the marbling on these guys. Kind of a shame that I'm not gonna be slicing these up, but either way, all these cuts I got from my friends over at Rem 5 Farms. Highly recommend checking them out. They're a local farm over in Brenham, Texas, not far from here. And I always like to support local farmers and ranchers whenever I can. It's not only good for small business, but also the quality of meat you get from a local rancher is so much better than any commodity beef you're gonna get at a local grocery store. And as you can see, they've got some beautiful looking meat here. Everything I've got from them, including their steaks and chops and chickens, are just absolutely fantastic. They're not sponsoring this or anything, but they did send me this meat. So be sure to go give them a shout out and try some of their food. I'll have a link in the description, or just hop on Google and type in Rem 5 Farms. And when they asked me what I was cooking next, I told them I had a birria video coming up. So I was looking for some really tough cuts. And the shank, the oxtail, and the beef cheek are all really tough cuts, full of collagen. They've got the bone marrow in these two cuts. And when smoked and braised in that consomme, we should end up with some really tender, succulent meat. But last night when I was thinking about it, there's not all that much meat on the oxtails, and these guys have that huge bone in there. So I also busted out this big old arm roast. But now that I'm looking at it, I think we got plenty of beef between these cuts, but I don't want to put this back in the freezer. So I think we'll go ahead and cook this one too, because having extra birria on hand is kind of why I'm making this video. I've been craving it lately. But first thing we're gonna do is get all this stuff seasoned up. And today I'm going with some good old-fashioned SPG, salt, pepper, garlic. Keep the flavor profile pretty simple. And in traditional birria recipes, you would just sear this stuff off in a pan, get a little bit of color on there. But because this is a barbecue channel and, you know, good flavor, we're gonna get these seasoned up and we're gonna smoke them off for a little bit, start that cooking process, and add some wonderful barbecue flavors to our birria tacos down the road. And we can re-season this meat and the broth as we go, but I think starting out with a nice layer of flavor can't hurt anything. And get all the sides, folks. You know the deal. No rookie moves around here. And that is looking pretty good to me. Let's fire up the pit. Now I know birria is traditionally made with goat meat, but I think another great choice of meat would be that pesky snake in my boot. And on the pit we go. Gonna be rocking this pit right around 250, 275, maybe 300. Not really gonna be too specific about it, because really we're just trying to get some color and some smoke, maybe a little bit of bark on these guys. Because remember, these are gonna finish cooking in the consomme, in that broth. They're gonna braise away and get nice and tender. This is just to add some extra smoky flavor, as well as start that breakdown cooking process. Because the longer we cook them on this pit, the faster they'll get super tender in the broth. So really, it's up to you. For me, I'm probably gonna let these go about a couple hours, maybe 3-4 hours, until they start looking nice and smoky, nice and barky, and then we'll throw them in that consomme. Speaking of our consomme, what I got here is some Guajillo Chiles, chile de Arbol, and some Ancho Chilis. I've already taken the stems off, opened these up, taken all the seeds, well, most of the seeds out of there. And you can use whatever variety of chilies you can find. These are pretty classic, and I'm going pretty heavy on the chile de Arbol. These are the spicy ones because I'm looking for a little bit of kick in this birria, but you can dial that back if you like. And to get these ready, we're gonna toast them off and give them a quick steep. So into this hot little pot here, I'm gonna go in with all these chilies and a little bit of beef fat. And we're just gonna let these toast away for a couple of minutes until they start smelling nice and fragrant. And just a few minutes later, this is starting to lightly smoke, smelling really nice. Just waking up the flavors a little bit, but nothing is burned. But to soften them up, we're gonna go in with some homemade beef stock. Ooh. Now I'm gonna cover this up and set this aside to steep for about 5-10 minutes. Now I was gonna show you the stock making process, but you've seen me make beef stock on this channel at least 10 times at this point. But all I did is I went to the store, bought some marrow bones in the freezer section, popped them on the mini Chud box, grilled them off, got some good color on there, ate some of the marrow because it's really good. Then I threw all those bones in a pot with some onions, some bay leaves, some peppercorns, and a bunch of water, covered it up and simmered it overnight for about 12 hours. Then this morning I went and strained it all out, leaving all that fat and marrow in there because that's just gonna help us in this process. And I think this is one of the most important parts of this recipe, because using a really good beef broth that's full of gelatin and that smoky, rich, beefy flavor is really gonna elevate this over anything you're gonna get out of a carton. Next up, into this large pot, we're gonna go in with a dollop of some beef fat. Ooh, maybe 2 dollops. And then in with our roughly chopped onion. I did 2 medium onions, 1 large would do. And we're gonna let this cook away for a couple of minutes till it starts to look nice and soft. And we'll go in with a pinch of salt as well. And after just a few minutes, these onions have sweated down, cooked down a little bit. Again, I'm not trying to get too much color, just soft them up. Now we're gonna go in with quite possibly too much garlic, but I'm not mad about that. And cook that till it's nice and aromatic. Again, garlic can burn pretty easily, so just another few minutes till it's looking nice and toasty, and God, it smells so good already. And once that is cooked down, we're gonna go in with our Roma tomatoes. Just cut these in quarters, and in we go. And now we're gonna let this steep for probably about 10 minutes, let those tomatoes start to break down a little bit and soften up. And once everything is cooked down for a little bit, into this blender we go. Oh, these lids are hot. And by lids, I mean handles. Ow! And then we blend this up. I also threw a splash of water on top to make sure this blends nicely. And now we blend. Wrong side. And now, right back into the pot. Ooh, beautiful. And now that our chilies have steeped for a good little bit, we're gonna throw them into the blender as well. Oh, I'm making a mess. Classic Brad over here. That's why I cook outside. Lid on. Also got all that remaining stock in there too. Still looking a little too thick, so more beef stock going in. Boop. Lovely stuff. And into the pot with everything else. And now in with the rest of our stock, probably going with a gallon total today. Woo, smelling so good. And now that that has all come back up to a simmer, looking very nice, lovely red color on there. Hard to see with the reflection, but it's looking nice and thick, nice and beefy, smelling really good. But now it's time to add some more flavors, including 2 cinnamon sticks, some bay leaves, 2 cloves, some Mexican oregano, some cumin, and some coriander. I was gonna add some black pepper at this stage, but that meat is covered in it, and I put a bunch of peppercorns in the stock we made, so I think we're good. But at this point, I'm gonna bring this back up to a simmer, let it cook down for a little bit, let all those flavors really get to know each other and reduce down just a little bit, but really, we can set this aside until it's time to add our beef. All right, it's been about 4 hours since we put that meat on the pit, so let's go ahead and see how it looks. Ooh, looking real nice, beautiful looking oxtail, got some color on there, little fat render, nice smoky flavor. So in we go. Boop. I pulled the little guys off after a couple hours because they cooked a lot quicker. But these are looking real nice. Smelling good, nice and smoky. Didn't render all that fat, so I'll end up with a little bit of that in this broth as well. Beef shank looking real nice. And these are reading right around 160, 170. Those cheeks are right around 180, but they all still feel tough as nails. Just like a beef cheek coming off the pit going into confit. It's the low and slow cooking after the smoke that really makes these things tender. But look at all the fat on that oxtail. Oh, can't wait to eat that. Beef cheek looking nice and barky. Going in. This is gonna be good. And last but not least, we've got our giant little leg roast here. Very drippy. Going in. Ooh, man, I eyeballed the amount of consomme perfectly for that. Love it. So at this point, lid goes back on. And we're gonna just let this braise away at a nice gentle simmer for the next several hours. I have no idea how long it's actually gonna take, but I'm gonna come back and check it periodically. But once that meat is impossibly tender, falling off the bones, and those bones have fortified the stock and the consomme, and all these flavors are just, so good. Then it'll be time to strain everything out. So I'll see you in several hours. After about 4 or 5 hours of simmering away, this birria is finally starting to look good. I've been coming and checking it every now and then, and this meat is finally just starting to feel impossibly tender, falling off the bones. If I find a big chunk, I can just squish it, and everything is smelling so good. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and pull all this meat out. Yeah, that's tender. And I've got it in this perforated pan, so all the liquid goes through and all the meat and bones and everything else will stay up here. Oh man, I just watched one of those oxtail bones just fall away from the meat. And now that I got everything out of this pot into here, except for all the liquid left behind, I'm gonna let this probably cool down for a minute, and then I'm gonna go through and start pulling out all the solids like cinnamon stick, bone, got nothing left to it. Look at that oxtail bone, that's cool. Get these bay leaves out of here and just go through and pull out everything solid, leaving us with nothing but meat. And we're gonna strain this birria consomme through a little mesh strainer here into another pot. Oh, goodness. Now it's all strained, on with the lid, and we're gonna put this in the fridge overnight to solidify so we can remove that big fat cap tomorrow. Got all the meat strained out, pulled a bunch of tiny little oxtail bones out of there. Very annoying, but meat's looking good. So now, on with the lid we go, and we'll pick this back up tomorrow. Next up, let's make some corn tortillas. I'm using a food processor because I am feeling lazy. But you can definitely just do this in a bowl. But I got some Hacienda yellow corn masa here going in. Get that spinning. That's 2 cups of masa and 2 cups of warm water that I'm just gonna stream in here. And once that is kneaded for just a couple of minutes, out it comes. Beautiful stuff, should be nice and supple and not too sticky. And now I'm gonna weigh out some 30-gram little dough balls. Not 43, beautiful. And now we're just gonna press these out using this handy dandy corn tortilla press right now. Ooh. Oh, I guess you didn't like that one. And there we go, looks good to me. Let's throw it on the hot flat top. Pretty simple making corn tortillas once you get the right masa and the right, ooh, moving on me. Look at that, sliding right around. With the right equipment, very easy. Make these pretty thin. And it smells, oh, fantastic, love it. Keeping these and a tortilla warmer over here to steam up a little bit. That is a well-seasoned chud press right there. It's like an air hockey table. Ooh, starting to puff up. And just like that, a big, beautiful stack of so freshly made corn tortillas. Back to the consomme here. As we can see, it's chilled overnight. We've got this big jiggly fat cap right on top. Not sure if you can see that kind of moving as one unit, but we're gonna scoop that off. Let's see how thick this is. Ooh, beautiful red fat. I'm gonna save some of that. And underneath, we've got a super gelatinous looking, nice, dark, thick Birria consomme. Ooh, this is kind of fun. And now this is fully defatted. We're gonna put this on the burner and get this nice and hot. All right, it's finally assembly time, folks. This is our meat from last night. I just popped this in an oven for a little bit with the lid on just to bring it back up to temp. Got our lovely corn tortillas over here, and they feel so good after that little time to steam. Just so much more elastic and soft. Very happy about that. So now we're gonna try and make a couple of these little taquitos. So I'm gonna grab some meat, grab some of our Oaxaca cheese, of course. And I've been debating for the last few minutes about whether or not I should put that onion cilantro mix in this or just keep it and serve it in the Birria consomme. But because we're gonna be frying these off, I think it's probably best if we keep that stuff fresh. So now we're just gonna roll this up. Oh, that's a thick boy. And tear our tortilla immediately because I made it a little too thick. Let's try another one. Maybe we'll just go right in the middle this time. Meat and cheese. That looks exactly like the last one. Did I learn nothing? Let's be a little more gentle with the roll up, I suppose. Something like that. Send a toothpick through it. Try to keep it all together. And there we go. That's my first one that didn't crack. Looks pretty good. We'll see how this goes. All right, y'all. After several failed attempts and tortillas breaking and ending up in this situation, I have ditched the toothpicks. I have lowered the amount of meat. I have ditched the deep fryer, which was the original plan. And now I'm going in just classic seam side down into a pan. And there we go. Just gonna load these up as they cook. Oh no, I am so bad at this. Ooh, squirt. Now we're just gonna cook these until they're golden brown. And once looking something like this, off they come. Gonna drain these on a wire rack and make a few more. All right, let's see. Only a few more to make, but I'm gonna start out with just a little nug of this meat. Nice layer of cheese. And we just gotta be real gentle about the fold so we don't crack the fragile corn tortillas. And then once you get it seam side down, give it a little press to flatten it out. And there you go. Only took me like 9 to figure out how to do this. And then you gotta put it in the pan, seam side down. And now that we got all these little taquitos fired off, I'm gonna finish them off in some of this fat because it just seems like the right thing to do. Not really trying to cook them, just trying to give them a little color and dunk them in all this flavorful fat that we skimmed off. There we go. Now it's a Birria taquito. And I was gonna try to fry them in this fat, but it's just got so many other things in it. If I got it hot enough to fry these in, it would likely be really smoky and burn. And there it is, folks, Birria Taquito Mountain. Except, of course, we gotta have some of this consomme for dippage. I really need to invest in a ladle. And we can't forget about our fresh onions and cilantro. We'll just go right in there with that. Beautiful. Out of all the mountainous things that we've made on this channel, I'm thinking the deep fried ones are the best. You know, egg roll mountain, barbecue Birria fried taquito mountain, but ooh, I'm ready to dive in. Dip, dip. That's good. I mean, that cheese pull alone really tells you all you need to know. Got a little bit of heat to it because of all those arbol I put in there. That tortilla fried up real nice, real crunchy. Ooh, those warming spices are starting to kick in. You know, the clove and the cinnamon. Nice and meaty. Doesn't look like much meat in there, but I was worried that the oil would kind of seep in there and crisp everything up, but still nice and tender and juicy. And cheesy. That's really good. Birria, a labor of love, but definitely worth it. And other than making the actual taquitos themselves, because I suck at making taquitos apparently, everything was really easy. But that is a lovely bite of food right there. And anytime you get a little dip, especially with this super thick broth turned consomme, I'm a happy guy. Ladies,
Yes.
would you like some barbecue birria taquitos?
Yes.
Yes, sorry, she keeps calling.
Yes! Some matters to attend to.
A little distracted.
It kind of sounds like Christmas.
It really does. It's all the cinnamon and the clove in there.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, these are good.
Oh my god.
Why is birria just like the most fun thing to eat too?
These are amazing.
This is so delicious.
Now,
Probably just as good as the food truck down the road, which is my favorite food truck in the world. I'm not gonna lie.
Which one?
I don't even know the name. Sabor Tapito, I think. It's my favorite.
It's so good. It's got everything you need. A little bit of kick. It's got the cheesy pull factor, the smoky meat, and you got the dip.
The dip's what really makes it.
Nice crunch on the tortilla.
Yeah, it's a perfect crisp.
Yeah, they fry it up a lot better than I was expecting.
I love that you make your own tortillas. Every tortilla you make is delicious.
This is my second time making corn, and I was telling you about my struggles.
So tip, if you want to make taquitos or flautas are flour, taquitos are corn.
I had to look that up before I made this video.
Yeah, you have to dip the tortilla in the oil a little bit and then roll it. And then you can even freeze it, like my mama does, and put it in the freezer with all of the toppings and then defrost it and then fry it up later.
I really wish I knew that about 14 minutes ago. And you were only 10 feet away, watching me struggle.
Dude, these are really good though.
Yeah.
Like you.
Starving, and this is delicious and really hitting the spot. They do have more of a kick though than
Yeah.
your
Really?
Birria tacos. Yeah.
I'm not feeling it.
I mean, in this full form, they're not bad, but when I first tasted the consomme last night, I was like, oh no.
Well, it's only gonna get spicier too, the
Yeah.
longer it sits. You should have made more.
I know, I was upset. I failed with so many corn tortillas that
These
this is all that's left. There's a bunch of dead ones over there if you want to try them.
Really good. I'm gonna have another one. But
I made
I'll be
an
having it.
absurd amount of birria meat and consomme because I know that people like leftovers. So.
Me, the girl down the road.
I can't believe I had 3 of those
How
just
many?
now.
How many could you eat if you had to?
I could probably do one more.
I order
Do it.
5 at the taco shop.
Oh wow.
These are bigger. I could probably do 4 and then go back for 2 more, like at midnight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now I think it's time for the official taste test. All right, y'all, that is how to make some absolutely incredible, crispy barbecue birria taquitos. I highly recommend giving this one a try. If you've never made birria before, you really should give it a shot. It takes a while, but it's really easy. Most of it's hands-off. Everybody loves it. And now you can make it in taco form or taquito form. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.